Now, ladies and gentlemen, without any further delay, we will head right into a panel discussion. The topic of discussion is frictionless and personalized, the new realms of a digital experiential world in Fintech and NBFCs. Firstly, please join me in welcoming our moderator, none other than Mr. Hemant Purohit, CEO, Parahit Technologies. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome him with a round of applause. Next, to join him in the panel discussion, I'd like to invite Mr. Dharmender Narang, Chief Customer Experience Officer, IIFL Securities Limited. Then we have Mr. Abhishek Sharma, CDO, L&T Financial Services. Please welcome him with a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Moving on, next we have Mr. Deepak Singh, President and CBO, Reliance Securities. As we move ahead with the next panel member, ladies and gentlemen, the sound of the claps must increase. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Mukesh Kumar, Marketing Head, Digital Marketing, Bajaj Finserv. Then I'd like to invite Mr. Anish Chaudhary, Group EVP and Head Digital Business, Retail Digital Business, Yes Bank. Yeah, the moment I pause, it is for all of you to clap for the people joining on the stage. Everybody, let's hear it up for Mr. Anish Chaudhary. Joining on our stage, we have Mr. Sandeep Saran, Head Digital Innovation Initiatives, HDFC Securities. Please welcome him with a round of applause. Then we have Mr. Bala Chaindil, Business Head Digital Acquisition, Ambit Finvest Private Limited. And lastly, I'd like to invite Mr. Rahul Ramchandran Podoval, Director, Data Analytics and AI, India and GCC Alt-Air. Everybody, a round of applause for our panel members. Over to you, Mr. Hemant. Abhishek. Well, we are paging for Mr. Abhishek Sharma, CDO, L&T Financial Services. Mr. Abhishek Sharma. Do we have Mr. Abhishek's colleagues here? All right, in the meanwhile, we would like to request the panelists to kindly take your seats. Abhishek sir will be joining us shortly.
After lunch, there are very less faces. Our luck. Anyway, thank you everyone for being here for so long. So banking and banking related discussions are anyway very much theoretical or lengthy or complicated or complex in nature. So we're trying to also crack down upon many such complicated things where these people in their respective companies have deciphered in their best ways to come up with solutions. And ours is a technology and digital transformation and the journey forward, because we have already been through pandemic. We've already transformed a lot. We've already done a lot of changes. I mean, I think India has seen a new phase, or probably the world has seen a new phase in terms of banking and doing things. We were already a very complex market. We were already a very legacy and I would say that backward market, because we're not like Western countries who were going to the doorsteps and doing things in terms of banking. So we were Dubai of USA, like Dubai is of USA, or India. We were like that. But within these 2 years, we have come up a very big way, or we've taken a leap. Now, how technology has taken up the front seat or the topmost position in every banking organization or every NBFC and Fintech. We were also, NBFC and Fintech were actually looking for the room or to crack down. So I will not do much on the talking. I will let these panelists talk. My name is Hemant Purohit. I represent Parhit Technologies, which is a customer communication, or you may say a customer journey company. We have a platform which does from onboarding to loyalty and feedback, everything in this journey. So first thing first, I mean, when it comes to banking, meaning big data, meaning we talk about a large amount of data and raw data or processed data. I'd like Abhishek. Abhishek is a veteran and a very old in the industry from L&T. Abhishek, I would like you to add upon the innovations which are going on in the industry when it comes to big data. I mean, I would like you to.
Sure. Thank you. This is Abhishek Sharma, CDO of L&T Financial Services. So first of all, I'm not sure why are you calling me old since last 1.5 hours or so. There seems to be some customer journey issue here. But anyway.
In some way, I'm calling myself young.
But anyway, coming back to your question, I guess you have aptly covered it by classifying this as a large quantum of data. And the moment we start talking of large quantum of data, then the uses or becomes around innovation. That if ability of consumption of this data gets compromised, then organization's ability to innovate in its services also gets compromised. If innovation is the backbone of big data, or if the innovation is the main theme around which big data has to evolve, then the application will be all across. So right from customer journey in terms of how exactly to predict his need, how exactly to fulfill that, what sort of product offering one should customize, then coming to the credit algorithm part, that what should we offer. All organizations, most of the organizations in lending have large vintages, and hence they have gone through multiple credit cycles. And the ability to get those learnings out and then include them in their credit journeys, that becomes the second focal point around which big data is getting utilized. Then the next part comes, which is more around operations, RCU, stuff like that. That through these consumptions, ability to predict what should go through STP versus which requires a manual intervention also starts becoming better and better. Algorithms are getting built in terms of fine-tune who exactly should go for RCU. Just to classify that, what exactly do I mean? Say for example, someone does two-wheeler loan. RCU would add a TAT step of 4 hours, 5 hours till the time those verifications have been done. If your ability to predict is there that, okay, 95% of the customers I will not do RCU, then to those segments, you have given a wow experience. That's the another leg. And the last is around the back office monitoring, which is much more around disbursement and all. Their ability to include all the KYC details, banking details, bring them on the same platform, write algorithm on top of it, and then ensure that the payment to his account also goes seamlessly through. So all across the value chain, I guess big data is going to be the core around which innovations can function. Does this answer your question?
Yeah, in some way. But my thought goes to that amount of data where innovations are still to happen, or it has taken place already. And so Mukesh, would you like to add that how all of this data put together will come up with some new innovations which can happen or which should happen in order to crack down in this industry? Oh, okay. Yeah, Abhishek, you can. Yeah.
Sure. So let me talk about a potential thing that we are trying to solve for. We are into tractors, so we have to predict farmers' income. Right. Farmers' income is non-predictable at this point of time in India. But from a big data perspective, what all do we have? We have the land records that this guy has. From Google platform, Google Earth is launching that service. You can actually see what is the yield that this person is carrying. Okay. Then, on top of that, now through moisture monitoring, you can see what exactly is the health of this guy. On the other side, you have got mandi prices coming in, which tells you what is the likely price which is going to be there. Now you bring these all things together and stitch it. Then you have got a workable methodology how to underwrite income level of a farmer. Now this is going to be a potential use case. Very, very complex. Google Earth itself has not launched the service in India. They are expecting to launch in another 3-4 months. But if you utilize the stitch it like this, then perhaps a big problem, which is a time-consuming process at this point of time, cost-consuming process at this point of time, would get solved for the industry.
Great. Yeah, that's where I wanted some input of some use case on how innovations will take place in this space. Thank you, Abhishek. Thanks a lot. So, the way big data is one aspect of it, then comes the design aspect of the whole thing. Then, Mukesh, I mean, how do you think that in this period or era of innovations, design thinking is so much imperative for NBFCs and this all lending, wealth management, and all fintech space, because so far the understanding is that the bankers would be only suited well on the panel, not on the interface or UX. What do you say about that?
So I'm Rahul, so by the way. So let's, when it comes to design thinking, let's look at a little bit in depth on design thinking. So we are talking about NBFCs and fintechs embracing design thinking. So first of all, NBFCs and fintechs, rather fintechs got successful just because they started adopting design thinking, starting off their journey itself. So fintech itself, if you look at it is a result of digital disruptions in financial services market, because many of the traditional banks, if you look at, they could not, or they were a bit slow in shaping up, or rather coming up with a lot of future-ready product offerings, which gives the clients a lot of digital experience. So if you look at the financial services industry itself, in the last 10 years, it is undergoing a very big paradigm shift. So many, they are trying, many traditional players are looking at, stay relevant, or rather struggling to, stay relevant in the market with regard to future-ready innovations, seamless customer experience across, onboarding and to the service level engagements itself. So, fintechs, the reason why we are seeing a lot of successful fintechs is only because they have adopted design thinking in the starting phase itself. So the clients, if you look at their, the core clients, they are all digitally savvy, tech savvy, etc. And I've seen many fintechs conducting workshops to understand customer needs and expectations and build a prototype, on their learning. So what happens? So it is the reason why they became successful only because they are more agile, fintechs are more agile, or any tech-driven NBFCs are more agile. And they could also make some kind of tailor-made products which is appealing to the new to credit customers. So most of these clients, if you look at, just because of the growing influence of GAFA tech giants, they look at seamless customer experience in their digital banking platform itself. So the other point will be like, I talked about agility side, on fintechs. So it is not a single stop process. So it is an iterative process where you need to understand the client, then challenge assumptions, then redefine the assumptions, then come up with a lot of alternative strategies and solutions which may not be immediately apparent. So that is what.
Yeah. So don't you think that, I know that wealth management bankers or NBFCs or fintechs are very happy in this post pandemic.
Right.
But the lending side companies,
okay,
are they really thinking about the design of their things to increase the subscriber base? Because the payment companies and the security companies or the wealth management companies, they're enjoying.
Right.
They're enjoying with the increased subscriber base. But the lending companies, are they reaching out to that mile where Amazon, Flipkart, or those UI, UX savvy companies or customer experience savvy companies have reached out to? And what should they exactly do to reach out to those miles or those places where basically design is what? I come and I take things and I'm happy, and post taking the services I'm happy. From that standpoint.
So if you look at, I mean, we all in the last 2 years, I think we would not have visited any of the bank branches, right? We would have done everything digitally. And you are talking about addressing those set of customers which is who are digitally savvy and tech savvy. So a couple of examples which I can quote. So fintechs were the first players in the market to understand the area of unscored consumer lending. Right. So they started, they made products, which is very easy to handle, because most of these customers, they don't want, something, a traditional credit purchase allow them. They want something better, like they do for their online retailers. So fintechs were very, innovative. They started hassle-free ways to reach out to customer, offer some product, and that's how, they became successful. So design thinking is something, which they have adopted long in the beginning. That's how we might be seeing a lot of successful fintechs.
Very well. Yeah. So that's where the whole market lies now. That all banking NBFCs and fintech are supposed to also think like a consumerist market, right?
That's
So
correct.
that's how the design. will
And
come
one
up
more
with.
thing I would like to add here is, Hemant, now we have seen successful fintechs. Now traditional banks have started, collaborating with fintechs for point of sales
Yeah,
financing.
yeah.
So it's all is a result of,
Yeah.
starting about design
Things
thinking.
are changing. Yeah, things are changing. Now we hear that mostly when it comes to banking space, AI should be the first thing to be picked up, right? So my question to I think you're right here. So my question to you would be that what do you see? How do you see the AI and automation happening in the future in this space?
Thanks, Hemant. I'm Dharmendra Narang. Thanks. I am Dharmendra Narang from IFL Securities. When you talk about automation and AI, I would say it's a step-based process. I would like to quote like Alan Toffler has told long time back that change is the only constant, but he has never told how fast it is going to be. I think everybody has realized in the last 2 years that digitalization is something is going to be the key. Earlier it used to be the automation where we used to talk about continuous improvement, incremental improvement. Now nobody talks about that. Everybody is talking about a major shift. I think every company has a digital platform to offer to the customers. People or other companies would like to call them as a technical or rather a technology company rather than a product company. So that is the change which is coming right now. See, your back end is almost, everybody is talking about robotics. Everybody is talking about machine learning. So this is the change is going to be substantial. This is the beginning. See, there are two levels of change. One, what the pandemic has brought into us, where we are everybody getting into digital. And second is more faster is your younger generation, how they are adopting the digitalization. It is just changing the habit of everybody. If you talk about, okay, for current generation also, everybody was not used to use the digital platform. They were used to still on having the physical sort of a thing, have a physical interaction, then use digital. Now people are just getting into digital. That is the biggest change which is happening in future. Everybody is going to be on the platform. Everybody wants, not only the platform has to be simple. The old principle of case, keep it simple, stupid. So everybody is looking at that. And next phase is your AI. So AI is nothing but when you talk about hyper personalization, that is where the big data will come into picture. That is where the actually technology will be used. So one customer becomes a one segment. It is not that the retail is a segment. Your one customer is your segment. Now how you can make an offering for that particular customer depending upon his behavior will be the key. And that is, I think, is going to be the challenge. That is how everything is changing. I think everybody would have heard of that now we are going to move from video calling to metaverse, right? Nobody will be traveling to US to meet your friends, right? So this is still a long way to go, but look at people already taking initiatives. Infosys has set up a company to take care of that. Has invested a lot of money. Google has lost a lot of money already in Meta, right? So that is the view. That is where the future is going to be.
So are people? So the question here is that let's say earlier when it comes to robotics, the only robotics was available. I know PayPal has used the IVR and AI to understand the conversation and reply based on whatever FAQs or inquiries they had. and that was done in 2007 or 8, something like that, in those days. Now that has transformed to chatbots, let's say. So the people are going to trust this, or they are going to think that it is another IVR because it's just the options. So
That is I think the way forward, sort of. See, IVR is, I would say, more of a manual system driven.
menu driven.
Now we are getting into somewhere you give again the personalized service. The chatbot is, it started with chatbot where people can go, I think every company has it on their website. They can ask whatever they want to. The purpose was that you are available 24/7. It is taking the CX to the next level, where customer doesn't wait for you. He is not in, you don't want to have queue, you don't have people to wait, give them the queue number, give them IVR. If you want to get out of it, chatbot is the first thing. Next level is, which probably we have done in our company, is that against that particular person asking a question, you identify what could be his next requirement. You prompt him for your next requirement, whether he is looking for it. So even if he has not the right question, you are prompting him or you are taking him to the right direction. That is second piece. Third piece is when you are talking about voice bot, it is to the next level altogether. So that is where analytics, where your AI will actually come into picture. It is that you have to, yeah, please.
Yeah, so you are saying in a way that AI is eminent for a customer, improved customer experience in a longer run.
I agree.
As things will improve, big data and AI coming together will
Yes.
improve the whole outcome
Experience,
for
the
the,
CX for the customer.
yeah. All right, great. So now when,
But, can I butt in?
yeah, please.
Hi, this is Sandeep here from HDFC Securities. So sir was talking about voice bots. I think this is one technology which is being used by NBFCs to a huge extent, especially so in collection services. So I mean, I know for that matter because I know the use case really well, because manually when you had to do calling for collection purposes, it was a nightmare. You need to do thousands and lakhs of calls to do collection, and more so in times of COVID becomes very difficult because even the call center was not working. So one technology which has come to the fore, especially in NBFC space, is voice bots, doing a standardized pitch for collection services, pushing links for customers to make easy payments. That is what has come to the fore. So I think the voice bot also is a
correct. Yeah.
thing.
So we have also done it for some microfinance company where all the buckets, that's all in the algorithm. And if it has not come, it has come, whether to push the SMS, whether to push a call, when to push a call, whether to send it to the call center, those all intelligence is there. But actually when it has to evolve, finally the customer should be the beneficiary. For example, for a long time, I have seen many NBFCs were not using this voice bot or automated robocalls or something like that, with the personalized naming in it, in that Hemant Purohit, this is due or something like that, was not doing it but has started recently, and you guys are also doing it.
I'm not sure about HDFC Bank, HDFC Securities, but sorry, HDFC Bank. But yeah, there are a lot of NBFCs which are doing this. Yeah.
We are doing it at IFL Securities.
Mobile payments, that's the next thing, which is actually not about technology and this thing, but still, because we are tapping into the entire, the entire country. We have all of a sudden, I mean, I would give credit to Paytm or whatever infusion has happened in payment sector. In the era of payments, how do you, how NBFCs and Fintechs are looking at the future in this era of payments? Mukesh, I think you'd like to add on this, right?
Yeah. So for the payment side, every NBFC is moving towards it. We also moving towards creating that platform where everything is linked with the payment. So at the end, whatever journey we build online, whether it's giving a loan to a customer or whether the customer is doing fixed deposit with us, at the end the payment is there. So it's always is a key milestone to complete the journey with the payment thing. So definitely this payment is a key for us. All NBFC is having this payment part, as a next milestone for themselves.
So Balaji,
I'll step
would you
in.
like to add?
I am Bala, I come from Ambit. See, the future is anytime, anywhere and real time. I think we are almost there. If you look at the last decade, various events like demonetization followed by the COVID pandemic has pushed the whole ecosystem, whoever is in the ecosystem, whether it be a regulator or the intermediaries, lending company or customers. The adoption has been improving and we are almost there. If you look at since I come from lending company, I want to give a use case. 10 years back, if you look at the EMI collection mode, largely it was PDC. Today, nobody talks about PDC. We are almost at 99% NACH adoption, and I'm sure any lending company would be almost pushing towards 99 or if not 100. Within NACH, we have eNACH and as well as manual NACH. The eNACH adoption has been picking up over the last few years, anywhere between 60 to 80%, depending on which segment you are in. In SME, it is relatively low, and in consumer segment, it is relatively high. There is a scope for improvement on that aspect. The government and the regulator has been proactive in introducing a UPI platform and also increasing the IMPS limit and making NEFT RTGS available on holidays. So my personal view is the IMPS, RTGS and NEFT platform will merge and become one, because for all practical purposes, the features IMPS is today, in fact, some time back, RTGS NEFT was not available on holidays. Now it is being, it's being made available on holidays. So I see a convergence. This is my personal view. And overall, I think the ecosystem will move, and because it creates convenience, increases efficiency, and to a larger extent, it brings down the cost as well. This is my view.
So in calendar year, sorry, Hemant, just one stats. In calendar year 21, we had 38 billion UPI transactions. So every hawker you see, a poha wala or whoever, has a UPI code flashed right in front. So that's the amount.
I have also started using Paytm. I was thinking they were stealing my data, so I was never using it, but I started doing it because it's so easy. Wherever you go, if suppose something doesn't work out. But in banks, and like he's saying, NACH is being used so oftenly for EMI collections, which was not there before. In fact, companies which are on subscription models are using NACH. So payments have actually pushed the card so very well last 3-4 years. Yeah, so now we have covered up most of it, but now how the digital marketing leaders in this space, because now, for example, in the current diaspora, we see ads or digital marketing actually making political parties. How Fintech and NBFCs are looking, or their leaders are looking forward using social media or digital marketing as the platform to bring out customers and give them the same kind of experience or a timeline kind of a experience. That's what I would like, Mukesh, to you to add, please.
Perfect. So this is a very interesting topic for me. As a digital marketer, we always try to start with the data side. Everyone talks about the data. So how we see the data and how we use it to deliver the compelling customer experience to my customer who's coming to my website and trying to explore our assets is a key for us, where we work on creating those segmentation, like other person has mentioned that we treat every customer as a segment and deliver one-on-one experience on assets when he's coming to my website or app. The second important part is an experience where again we talk about the hyper-personalization on assets, hyper-relevant ads when we go and do the outreach for a customer. Then we talk about hyper-local marketing, where if person is looking for near-me experience, we can deliver that on time and anywhere he's based out of. The third thing is the operational efficiency, where every fintech or NBFC is putting lots of effort on efficiency side, where everyone wants to achieve 2x in half, and that's where the data models, robotic process automation plays a vital role, where we try to automate so many things. Even pandemic has expedite the whole journey, where with the one affected COVID person can shut down the call center for 15 days. In such scenarios, what we have done is we have automated so many processes so that we can less rely on human interventions, and we can make sure that customer can come assets, complete the journey digitally. So that's fourth part. And the last part is how we see the data, so the dashboards and all, because that's very key important things which can help every marketers to decide on the next step. We create those dashboards and real time see how customer is interacting with us, and when he's putting the leads, how my backend team is responding to that. So that those 4 or 5 things are the key things. And as a digital marketer, I see place where we have to put efforts.
So I'd like to ask one more questions around this. For example, I have to buy something and then I go and to some other website or YouTube or something else to do some other activity on my phone or my web, and then ads keep popping. Now, are NBFCs and Fintech also not only looking at the past history of their subscriber or their customer, or also acting upon such kind of navigation while targeting the customer?
So here we work. As a it's my personal view. We are working towards explore and exploit framework, which Amazon, the ideal company who has an excellent customer experience. They also work on the explore and exploit. Explore is something where we don't know customer and we try to convey the message, and exploit is something when we know customer and we try to tell him the exact message or personalized, tailored message to him. So that's how we do it. When we plan our ad campaigns, whether it's you're seeing the ads on YouTube and all, it's largely on that. So when I know that, so we call it cap-based audience, where we know you and we show you that hey, you have XX amount loan available, pre-approved loan amount from us. The second is something where we have an open communication on those ads. So that's how we do it, explore and exploit, just to
Wow, explore and exploit, wow. So Balaji, would you like to add on this piece?
Yeah, just quickly, one is, I would like to address this from a holistic view, not only from digital marketing. Tech plays an important role in creating an omni-channel, Tech plays an important role in creating an omni-channel experience when you onboard the customer. So omni-channels integrated with sales automation and a CRM tool, these are very vital for any lending company. So far, this, especially the CRM, banks, large banks have adopted this, followed by other banks. Today, the whole banking system is on CRM, and NBFC slowly we are moving into Ambit. We have implemented Salesforce. A full integrated tech plays important role in integrating the CRM and throwing up the right amount of data for us to to what type of customers you want to target. Today, if you look at the social media, you have all kind of slice and dices data available for all of us, whether you want to target a consumer, Gen X, Gen Y, ZZ, or a SME segment. So for a lending company, the way I foresee is tech will not only facilitate us to onboard the right kind of customers, but also to have a right predictive model. Today, if you look at, ideally, I would like to run a model capturing all of my borrowers who have completed first dose, second dose of vaccination, and wherever applicable, the booster dose. So this will help us, to create a predictive model. We are a lending company, and if the customer doesn't pay, it's a default, and eventually we have to write off the loan. So the term used is expected credit loss, ECL, or net credit loss. So with this data, we can run a model which will exactly predict what kind of losses which we may incur if we do not know whether this Omicron is the end, or I don't know what next. So tech plays an important role on this too. So I don't want to restrict only to the digital marketing, but overall.
Okay. Yeah.
That's it from my side.
So lending is always a subject in my mind. So Anish, in these 2 years, the eKYC got the approval. I mean, everybody has started doing video calls and somehow onboarded the customers. So, from onboarding, from digital marketing to onboarding to collections, and then finally having a happy customer coming back again. So, how do you perceive the end-to-end journey in this digitization of the whole thing?
So my name is Anish. I'm heading the retail digital businesses at Yes Bank. I think, in terms of everybody talking end-to-end digitalization in lending, let's first understand what is digitalization in a nutshell, right? Is it automation, or is it about providing certain things on the fly, on the go? So if you look at the whole basket of lending products or asset products in the industry, I don't think every product needs to be end-to-end digital. Number one, I'm making a very strong statement out here because every customer need is not instantaneous. So there'll always be certain customer needs which need point of sale integration or which need on the fly approvals. And I think most of the financial institutions have done a wonderful job in the last few years of actually creating that on the fly approvals, at least for their existing customer bases. And of course, there's a lot of stuff which is going on even for new to bank or new customer acquisitions. And there are a lot of integrations that's happening. But fundamentally, 2-3 things that in my journeys I have learned. The challenge is is first to understand what is the need of the customer. I think a lot of times we know a lot of things, but we are not humble enough to admit that the customer needs are changing. Can we go and think customer first and then redraw our journeys? I think that design thinking that we spoke about in the beginning, a lot of design thinking has to start with the customer and not from inside the organization. I think that's one area which still has a long way to go, I feel. The second element is every organization is already having a lot of legacy systems. And the challenge with technology and digitalization is that you cannot just throw away those systems. And yet you want to bring in new ones and you want to keep on improving the new ones because every month there is some new regulatory change or some new technology that's coming in. So how do you solve this problem? I think one of the fundamental ways is to start thinking platforms and not think in terms of softwares. So the moment you have a platform-driven approach where you do plug and play microservices, let me give you a simple example. If you talk any lending journey, forget about whether it's an auto loan or a mortgages or even an SME loan, what are the key modules that you have? You have an application module, you have a documentation section, you have a BRE which takes care of your underwriting, then you have maybe an asset module if it's a secured product, and you have your dispersal and so on. There are 5-6 common modules. Each of them, if you configure in a manner which can be put as a microservice, that's when you can leverage the evolving ecosystem without reinventing your tech stack. So you have to build your tech stacks on top of those platforms. That's one of the key takeaways. And finally, when it comes to lending, I think there's a lot of digitalization people have thought through at the time of exploration or at the time of application. But a loan starts actually making money for the entity after it has been disbursed. So there's a whole journey of 2 to 10 years or 15 years that has to be traversed. And I think a lot can be done in terms of customer experience there, not only in terms of servicing, but also in terms of collections. Because every customer who is missing a payment is not necessarily a willful defaulter. And how do you create an experience which can create a wow factor? I think there's a lot of thinking that can happen on that space to make it a very high quality experience.
Yeah, so customer, you have actually put the entire plethora of things onto one plate, thinking about customer first and talking about platform first for the customer first. So that's a great input. I would like to then refer to my thing first. So, Deepak, I would like you to take for the point of how a customer experience program actually talk about customer feelings, because we always talk about customer experience from our own thought process, from our own approach and science. So, how you actually would like to put light on the customer feelings when we do things?
So, thank you so much. I'm Deepak. See, as Mr. Narang has addressed what all AI-driven chatbots will bring. So on the feeling part, in the recent past, if you have seen, if bots would have been there, Mr. Grover would not have been in a tough soup. Bots can not show the mood swings either side. So if you are talking to a bot, bot will never get irritated. If the customer is irritated, bot will take care of that. So that's the point which I want to add. So other things were covered by Mr. Narang. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, and then post pandemic, in this particular vertical, so you are saying that, I mean, you put it in a very large statement that bot will understand your sentiment, but the sentiment will keep changing and your bot will understand those user patterns.
So exactly. So I have been interacting with one of the providers. So bots will actually analyze the customer mood and really tune accordingly. Like bot can start, I can understand, I'm sorry, I can understand your mood is bad. So that kind of technology is getting built. So that AI-driven bots will take care of definitely the mood swings and the feelings of the customer.
So has it improved the customer onboarding?
So customer onboarding, just leave aside the chatbot or AI part. The pandemic, particularly in the broking industry, has manifolded the customer onboarding. Whatever has been onboarded in the entire year just got onboarded within a month. And it's rolling, like my colleagues are sitting here, so we are onboarding more than 2.5 million customers a month.
Wow.
The customers which got acquired in last 30 years got acquired in just 1 year in the broking industry.
Wow.
So that's
Wow. That's a great number.
Yeah.
So Sandeep, once again, so what pain points do you think are so unique in terms of acquisition and onboarding? Because actually it seems a wrong question here, but because everybody is flourished with a lot of customers coming in post-pandemic, but still, do you think that onboarding has become easy, but retention has become a problem? There is a pain point there, or do you think that, you know, the journey or the repeated customer will be there after, because see, there is a flush of banking products getting acquired by the customers after pandemic. So what are the pain points do you see?
Okay, so the rise in customer is because of a lot of things, right? One is the India stack available, the easy data connectivity, the smartphones which are available. Everybody had made in the industry very easy onboarding journeys. It'll be in 5 to 10 minutes your account will be in place. In 5 to 10 minutes your account will be.
Regulatory has also
after compliance. Yes. That is after compliance. Today government supports digital onboarding, right? So the India stack supports it. Everything is pulled, like Aadhaar details and everything is pulled. So everything is, the framework is there, and on the back of that, our industry has made very easy onboarding journeys. So in 5 to 10 minutes your account is in place. The problem is what you do, what the customer does after that. You have made your expense for onboarding every customer. You have made an expense, getting his account opened. You have made an expense for digital marketing. The open market expense that has already gone in. Plus, you are already providing for the usage of your platforms. So the point is, how do you get the customer to trade? That has been a typical thing for us. We have been trying various things, coming to the solution, like getting him active on the WhatsApp right from the moment of onboarding itself, pushing messages which are very friendly in video format, right? Personalized campaigns. It could be multi-channel campaigns like email, SMS, and WhatsApp also. Plus, we are also trying voice bots. We are trying to make a pitch where we can convince the customer to make a trade. And we do not just want him to make a trade, because we are a very conscious brand. We work in a certain way. We push our calls. We give a very guided approach to getting started with your stockbroking account, or we call it investment. It's not a stockbroking for us, right? So we push our research calls. That's the way we are trying to address this.
So I would like to give a input to and feedback to all of you sitting here. You guys definitely make a robocall or a call or an advertisement or a display box or something like that to everyone, whoever is your subscriber or the user, or everyone. So at least do that much, where if he's an existing customer, does not get a promotional call or a promotional ad or something like that.
If you get a call, Hemant, the bot will address you by your name. That much I assure you.
All right, great. So, so workforce. Workforce challenges which I have seen, because we support customers for work from home, and our applications are enabling people to work from home as well as office, or the hybrid model where people can work, the managers can work here, few of the teams can work here, few of the functions can work here or there or whatever. So, but how easily your teams or people are Anish, I'd like you to address this piece, that how the workforce of this banking NBFCs or fintech is actually handling this part. Because video calls are happening, technologies are breaking down, at the same time somebody is making a noise at the back. So how the workforce is getting the gist of that we are sitting at home or we are sitting at work, it has to be completely professional. The SOPs are followed the way it used to get followed, when they were at office. So how the digital transformation is actually helping up the whole ecosystem in delivering to the customers?
Sure. So I think there are two parts to the thing. One, respect to the pandemic. Let's not forget that humans have been around for 10 million years, at least 2 million years of recorded history. It's not the first crisis that we have seen. Yes, one of the first modern crises, but we are a very resilient species by nature. So I think we have figured the way out, and the answer to how people have managed in the crisis is the proof of the pudding is in the data. I don't think anything has broken down. If anything, people have really adopted collaboration tools, and the UPI payments is a classic example that he cited. I think a lot of digitalization has happened and people have figured out ways. But I think the larger question that you're asking is in terms of how the workforce is prepared to take on, because clearly I think, we often say in Moore's law, the pace of change, it's applicable to the chip industry, but I say the Moore's law is now alive and kicking in our lives, because the pace of change has dramatically increased. And if anything, next 5 to 10 years, every business person, every sales, service, whichever function you are in, it's going to be almost a panic mode, because every month there is going to be some new thing that's going to come out. I mean, people will have this FOMO syndrome that if I'm not doing blockchain, or if I'm not doing AI or account aggregator or OKN, am I missing out? It's going to be a very, very complex thing. So how do you solve this? I think organization structures have to change. We have always been talking for last 20, 30 years in management literature that people should collaborate. I think collaboration has now come and kicked alive. People have seen it through remote working. But 2, 3 key takeaways that I would like to highlight, and I think I see a grapple in many organizations. What's the role of technology as a team? I don't think it's a service provider anymore. It has to be a genuine collaboration between businesses and tech. And that collaboration is not just a word. You have, there's no concept of a BA anymore, somebody gathering requirement and then working as a bridge between business and technology, nothing. The business guys have to understand customer requirements, translate it into simple, easy to understand formats, and that's when technology comes in and says, this is the best way to put it together. Number one. So I think that's one thinking going on. Second thing, digital thinking itself. Fundamentals have not changed. You still have to make money, you still have to serve customers. Digital is a new way of doing things. Earlier you were doing it physically, you are doing it digitally. It's just that the pace and the overwhelming jargons that are flowing around, often confuses people. So what does it mean effectively is, every business person today has to have a bit of a digital and data orientation. So, just like mathematics, geography was being taught nowadays, some of these things are anyway coming into the early education, and people who are already past their learnings have to learn and equip themselves. And the third part that comes together is process thinking. I think many businesses, especially mid-size to large size, while they all talk, they have business excellence teams and so on and so forth, but do you really think processes? Because, one hand you have customer journeys, and then you have back-end processes which have to be stitched together before you can do any kind of digitalization and automation. And most of the times, this whole work is outsourced to some Six Sigma specialist. I think that process, nobody knows your processes better than a business. And I can tell you, when we do those interactions with various teams, I figure out that the learning is a catharsis. It's a, oh wow, I never knew that my process is broken. I thought it is taken for granted. So I would simply say, what Charles Dickens had said, that, I would like to treat others as I would like to be treated myself. I think if we keep that empathy in the core of the whole thing, the workforce would be managed. I think while we are getting very digital, very tech, but it's all the more important to be more human and more empathetic.
Yes, true. So my people used to before this Omicron thing, they said that, sir, a couple of more months, and then we will be sure that we should come to the office or not. The same set of people are saying we want to come back to the office. So this workforce motivation or workforce enablement in terms of tech and all those things are so much imperative in going forward. So overall, Anish, we'll start from you, and then we'll take inputs from everyone on organizations adopting digital going forward. How do you see that? And we also discuss the difference between digitization and digitalization. So with the final remarks, we will like to close the panel.
I think the next 10, 15 years in India is the most exciting time to be in. I think we are all very privileged and lucky that we are working in this space. I think there are 3-4 things, if I may quickly summarize. A, don't automate, but try to think through the entire journey and process, and then bring in automation. Number 2, everything need not be automated. There are certain things which are okay to be physical. So I think phygital is the future and not necessarily entirely digital. India is always going to be a mix, and processes are always going to be a mix. Let's respect field as well as digital. While we are all talking about work from home and all, let's look at the data and figure out how many employees actually went to work from home in the 2 years. If you look at the employable workforce, SMEs and corporates put together, India has around 14, 15 odd crore of people who are working. And if you actually put together, extract the strict lockdowns, 80% people have not had the privilege to work from home. So that's the reality. We are talking about a privileged and elite lot. The third element in the future is, I think the pace of change is going to be tremendous. There'll be a lot of stuff that will come from vendors also. But remember, everybody is learning. It's not that anybody is going to be an expert anymore. So I think relearning and having the humility to co-create is going to be very important. Fourth, and foremost, I would say is that whenever we are taking decisions, it's not just experience that will matter, but a lot of times A/B testing will be very important, because you'll have to create hypothesis and figure out what works and what doesn't. What worked in the past may not necessarily work in the future. I think that humility along with empathy is going to be the key.
Abhishek, I would also like you to add on this digital transformation in the future. Yeah, going forward, how do you perceive?
Thank you. I guess he has covered it all. But 2 aspects I would like to add is that in another couple of years or 3-4 years, because of all these buzzwords and all, there is going to be a very, very confusing environment. And hence, to come out of that confusion, organizations have to be completely use case focused. That's aspect 1. And second aspect is this so-called concept of test and learn is something which will become much more real. Will come out of the bookshelves and start getting implemented, because we exactly do not know what's next 3 months, 6 months, how the situation is going to evolve. And his ability to quickly learn and evolve further are going to be the keys for next couple of years.
Rahul.
Digitalization, like Anish was talking about, there are something which needs to be digitalized, but it will be better. Sometimes if you are in front of clients or in front of our colleagues with our blood and flesh. So there are a couple of things many things which can be automated, but like he was mentioning about, it is better some couple of things or some cases which is not to be automated. That is one thing. And second thing, we are talking about the learning part. So sometimes digitalization or going digital can take away a lot of learning on the learning side. So he talks about mathematics and physics coming into play, because if you ask me, after doing my graduation or post graduation in business administration, I was just thinking what this physics and chemistry which I learned, what is the use right now? But now mathematics and statistics is going to play a greater role going forward.
Great. Sandeep.
Hemant, I've got only 2 things to say here, because it all boils down to 2 things. If Hemant as a customer needs something, he should be able to get on do-it-yourself basis in couple of clicks, in one touch, on voice or whatever, right? So as a customer, I should be able to get anything which I want in minimized intervention and interaction, right? And if something is coming to me as a communication, it should be very relevant, right? I have not subscribed to it. I don't want that product. Even then, the communication is being pushed to me. So if as a company, if you're solving these two problems, I think you're home and dry. 80% of things are solved if you do that.
Mukesh.
Just one thing to add is, when a customer is coming on my platform, I should give him what he is looking for, and there are lots of technology and data goes behind it when we actually do it. So, Anish has mentioned that, we don't need to digitize everything and automate everything, but exactly when customer is coming on my asset, based on the customer, we need to cater him the experience. If I know you, I can give you a loan without filling a form. I should be able to give you that experience. If not, if I don't know you, you need to fill the form and give me the details so that I can help you. So that kind of experience which we need to build, and Abhishek mentioned that we need to have a very personalized message when we are making any communication to a customer, whether it's a SMS or it's a call center or it's a WhatsApp message. No, there is no conversion for a generic message nowadays. So we need to focus on that.
Sir.
I think most of it is covered. I would like to add only one point that going forward, there is no loyalty per se to one brand, and there will be very difficult for retention. According to me, the only biggest differentiator is going to be the service. So you have to be agile, you have to be innovative, you have to understand the customer, and you have to look at end-to-end customer at all the touch points. That can only be way you can keep your customers. Otherwise, everybody is digital and every customer is everywhere. So how to get the business, that can only be the differentiator factor.
Yeah, Deepak.
Yeah, so digital is a behavior. So if the customer behavior is changing, we need to serve him that way. So that's it.
I think taking this question as last person makes my thing easy. Most of the points are covered.
I can become the last person. Nobody.
I agree with most of the panel members. Having a appropriate mix of digital and in-person, face-to-face is the future. We call it as phygital. And as far as the work place is concerned, I think only work from home may not be the way forward, because we miss the office dynamics, the interpersonal skills, and a little bit of office gossip as well. Okay. So going forward, I see hybrid model evolving, and the work from home or visiting office depends on the function. For example, IT support function can do predominantly a work from home. Sales can be a hybrid model. So hybrid model is the future, and that's it.
Well, this is going to be the end of, we are already 14 minutes late. This lady is looking at me smilingly that close it now. But still, I would like to add one line here. So when we talk about digital transformation, so as Anish correctly has put, customer, vendor, company's approach, company, co-create an experience, bringing up the digital transformation, as well as looking at wherever the face-to-face interaction is required, wherever the person-to-person talk is required, that thinking about that as well, because in the end, our entire automation work or industry, which I also support, will free up a lot of workforce. I would like that workforce to work on the feelings of the customer, sentiments of the customer, the emotional need of the customer while he buys anything. So putting up all together, we are going to close our panel here. If you have any questions, we would like to have a couple of them, because we are already short of time. You can raise hands, and also if you would like to put it to someone, then you can also take the name. Any questions, please? Yes, sure.
We'll take only one question at this point in time.
Just one question?
Yeah, one question.
Yeah.
We talked about a lot of experiences, digital experiences. We talked about digital experiences. This is Saket here, Explio Digital Practice. We talk about digital experiences. Still, I see with quite a lot of our customers, the customers have to fill forms, tedious forms on their portals, on mobile phones. How are we going to address those? How can we?
Who are you asking this question to?
Probably Mukesh. He's talked more on the digital experience.
Yeah, definitely. I would like to answer that. So that, how we are addressing this, when customer is landing on my form, any product form, We try to know him, whether this customer has already filled the detail in past with us, or in some way we have his details. So with the mobile number, we try to fetch that at the back end, and based on that, the next step get decided. If you already have your data, we don't ask you to fill the form. We just say that, hey, we already have an offer for you. Or if we don't have information, we say that please help us with the information. That's how we are doing this. We say personalization, and we try to have explore and exploit. So until I know you, I will give you an option to explore.
Like Rahul also has given the input that, design thinking. So it's all about UX nowadays. So if you are a male or a female, instead of entering that, you can, give an option of that. Similarly, the date of birth. So there are many, many things which can be just a click away. And then you can eradicate that from filling up a form. So that part is a UX or a design part.
And there is lots of integration also we build in the form itself, where you don't need to fill Truecaller and Google APIs. Those APIs are available which fetch lots of detail for you. Sybil fetch lots of eligibility at the back end for us, which solves so many problems, and we don't ask you so many questions on forms.
And on that note, I'd like to thank the elite panel which we have to support and cooperate me in my whatever way I have asked you questions. And thank you so very much. You've been a lovely audience. Thank you so very much, guys.
Thank you so much, Mr. Hemant, for that brilliant session, and thank you so much, gentlemen, for all your ideas, thoughts, and innovation in making the entire business more customer-centric. Well, the panel members, humble request to wait on stage for a couple more minutes. I'd like to invite on stage Mr. Saurabh Shah, Chief Revenue Officer of Technopoint, to join me here on stage and felicitate our panel members. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Saurabh with a round of applause. Well, first up, Mr. Saurabh, I'd love for you to felicitate our moderator, Mr. Hemant Purohit, CEO, Parahit Technologies. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for our moderator. Next, we have with us Mr. Dharmender Narang, Chief Customer Experience Officer, IIFL Securities Limited. Claps of joy, ladies and gentlemen. Then we have Mr. Abhishek Sharma, CDO, L&T Financial Services. Next, we have Mr. Deepak Singh, President and CBO, Reliance Securities. Then we have with us Mr. Mukesh Kumar, Marketing Head, Digital Marketing, Bajaj Finserv. Next, we have with us Mr. Anish Chaudhary, Group EVP and Head Digital Business, Retail Digital Business, Yes Bank. Then we have with us Mr. Sandeep Saran, Head Digital Innovation Initiatives, HDFC Securities. Also, a round of applause for Mr. Bala Chendil, Business Head, Digital Acquisition, Ambit Finvest Private Limited. And lastly, we have with us Mr. Rahul Ramchandran Podoval, Director, Data Analytics and AI, India and GCC Alt Air. And one quick photograph with the panel members and Mr. Saurabh as well. Well, to our panel members, ladies and gentlemen, can we please give them a round of applause? Thank you so much to all the gentlemen once again.